Welcome to episode 320 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak encouragement into the hearts of educators and get you informed and energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm talking about how to keep going when you're not feeling motivated. Visit truthforteachers.com for an easy-to-read, easy-to-share version of this podcast episode. If you're listening to this episode because you need a little dose of encouragement, make sure you're on my email list. I send one message per week on Sunday evenings to help take away the Sunday scaries and give you something useful and positive to focus on. Each email I send is personally written by me and is a message from the heart. And it's typically different from what I release on the podcast that week, rather than a duplicate. So if you'd like to have an encouraging, positive message from me at the start of your work week, just go to truthforteachers.com and sign up at the box at the very top of the page. Today we're talking about something every educator faces at some point: the struggle to keep going when you're not feeling motivated. Motivation can feel like this elusive spark, right? When you have it, everything seems easier. But when it's gone, even the smallest tasks can feel monumental. If that's where you are right now, I want to tell you it's okay. You are not alone. It will not always be like this. And there is a way through. The thing, though, is that the way through is not about forcing yourself to just be happy or trying to fake it till you make it. It's not about convincing yourself to bounce back quickly so you can be your best self again. This episode is about permission to sit with the feelings that come when motivation is hard to find, and how doing that can actually help you move forward. I'm going to give you 4 strategies that you can try when you're just not feeling motivated. The first is to feel it fully, and don't rush to fix it. If you're feeling unmotivated or tired or just blah, practice letting go of the idea that you need to change that right away. You don't need to slap a smile on your face or force yourself to be productive. In fact, trying to rush yourself back to that motivated headspace can make those low feelings linger even longer. Instead, I want to encourage you to feel all of it. Let yourself fully experience whatever's coming up for you. Maybe it's frustration or sadness, overwhelm, even apathy. Those experiences aren't bad. They're part of being human, and they're telling you something about what's going on under the surface. Think of your emotions like the dashboard lights on a car. When one of those lights up, it's not there to just annoy you. It's there to signal that something needs attention. Ignoring it or covering it up doesn't solve the problem. And in the same way, your emotions need to be acknowledged, not bypassed. So give yourself space to feel what you feel without judgment. This might look like journaling about it, or talking to a trusted friend, or even just sitting quietly and naming the emotion. I feel overwhelmed. I feel stuck. I feel unmotivated. Simply naming it can be a powerful first step. A second approach is to try taking action before you feel like it. You don't have to wait to feel motivated to do something. Motivation is wonderful, but it's not actually a prerequisite for moving forward. Some days, the best you can do is put one foot in front of the other, even when you don't feel like it. There's a concept I love called action before motivation. It's the idea that sometimes motivation doesn't come until after you start doing the thing. The first step feels hard, but once you get going, the momentum starts to build. There was a season in my teaching career when I felt completely drained. I'd sit at my desk after school, staring at my never-ending to-do list and just feeling zero motivation to tackle anything on there. And the more I thought about how much I had to do, the more overwhelmed I felt. One day, instead of waiting to feel like working, I asked myself, Can I just open my laptop? Can I just write one sentence of this lesson plan? Can I just grade one paper? That tiny shift made all the difference. And once I started, it was easier to keep going. I didn't suddenly feel inspired, but I built momentum by taking action first. Some days I only did the one small thing, and that was enough. Other days I kept going, but I learned that motivation isn't a prerequisite for action. The first step is the hardest, but can I just makes it easier. You see, taking action, even in small ways, builds motivation because it proves to you that you can do the thing. When you take that first step, no matter how small, you create evidence that you're capable, which builds confidence. Each completed task, no matter how minor, reinforces the belief that you can keep going. And over time, this self-trust fuels motivation because you're no longer waiting to feel ready. You know from experience that you can push through resistance and make progress one step at a time. So feel all of the feelings. You don't have to be excited about doing it. You don't have to feel like doing it, but try to identify one small manageable task that you could start with, something that actually feels doable in this moment. Don't worry about the bigger picture right now. Just focus on that one small action and trust that it is enough for today and that you're building trust and confidence in yourself, that you do always keep going. A third strategy to try is honoring what your body and your mind need. What do you actually need in this moment? Sometimes what looks like a lack of motivation is really a sign that you're depleted. Maybe you need rest, nourishment, or connection. Maybe you need hydration, or exercise, or fresh air. Maybe you need some quiet time to reset and recharge. If you're not sure what you need, start by checking in with yourself. Pause for a moment and ask, what's draining me right now? What would help me feel a little better? Sometimes the answer isn't obvious, and in those cases, you can experiment. Try different things. Drink a glass of water, have a cup of tea, stretch for a minute, call someone you care about, and talk about something completely unrelated to work. Step outside for fresh air. Close your eyes for a few deep breaths. Do some yoga, meditation. Try something that feels right for you, and then notice how your body and mind respond. If something brings even a small sense of relief, that's a clue to what you needed and how to meet those needs. The goal isn't to have all the answers for what's going to replenish you and get you back on track energetically. But rather, the goal is to build the habit of listening to yourself so that you can meet your needs before burnout takes over. Many of us are so used to pushing through exhaustion that we don't even recognize our own needs until we're completely burned out. And that's why the goal isn't to know the perfect solution every time. If you ask yourself, what do I need? And the answer is, I have no idea. That's fine. The goal is to build the habit of checking in with yourself regularly, to say, what do I need in this moment to be the best version of myself? What do I need in this moment in order to get through the rest of this afternoon? What do I need in this moment in order to be patient and present with the tasks at hand? Instead of waiting until you're so physically or emotionally drained that you can't do anything else, start noticing the early signs. Maybe you're feeling more irritable than usual. Maybe your thoughts are scattered. Maybe you're forgetting things that you wouldn't normally forget. Maybe really small tasks just feel overwhelming and exhausting. These are signals that something is off. By pausing and asking, what would help right now? You train yourself to respond with care rather than ignoring your needs until burnout forces you to stop. And over time, this practice helps you create a rhythm of sustainable work, where rest and recovery aren't afterthoughts, but are essential parts of how you operate. It's essential to give yourself permission to slow down if that's what you need. Rest isn't laziness. It's essential for long-term productivity and finding a sustainable way to do this job in education. If you're constantly pushing yourself to do more, it's no wonder motivation feels out of reach. Your body and mind might be asking you to pause and refuel. And even small intentional breaks can make a big difference. A final strategy to try when you just aren't feeling motivated is to redefine success for this moment. When motivation is low, our instinct is often to focus on everything that we should be doing but aren't. The unchecked to-do list, the lessons that need to be improved or revised, the emails waiting for a response or papers to be graded. It all just mentally piles up and makes us feel like we're falling short and we're hopelessly behind. But the truth is, success or a successful day doesn't have to mean checking off every box. A good day isn't necessarily one in which you just get everything done. Redefining a good day in difficult moments is about shifting from what's not getting done to what's one thing I can do today that will feel good and meaningful. Maybe it's choosing to show up with patience for your students, even if you're feeling drained. Maybe it's letting go of the expectation that today has to be a productive day or your best day as a teacher. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to just do the essentials and call that enough. Maybe success today looks like showing up for your students with kindness, even if you're not bringing your A game. Maybe it's creating space to breathe and letting go of unrealistic expectations. Or maybe success for today would be just making it through. And that's enough. This shift isn't about lowering your standards. It's about being realistic and being kind to yourself. Some days, success is about making good, steady progress. Other days, it's about maintaining, or resting, or simply getting through. When you stop measuring yourself by what you think you should be doing, and instead focus on what matters most right now, you free yourself from guilt and create space for momentum to return naturally. You don't have to force it. It will come on its own. And remember, you don't have to do it all. You just have to do what matters most right now. Here's the takeaway truth I want to leave you with. You are not your productivity. Your worth isn't tied to how motivated you feel or how much you accomplish. It's okay to feel unmotivated, to take a step back, to move at your own pace. You don't have to force yourself to feel differently than you do. Emotions are meant to flow, and when you give yourself permission to fully experience them, you create space for clarity and energy to return in their own time. So be gentle with yourself. Trust that this season of low motivation won't last forever. And know that even on the hardest days, you're still making a difference. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call, I talk to one of them, they stay anonymous, I can't hang up, that's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.